Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Discuss that if a member which is referred as a stress reversal member, how we can design that member. So first of all, we have to clear up that what is the member under stress reversal. So the member under stress reversal is a member which is subjected to tensile forces along with compressive force. But the important point to note that it is not subjected to the compressive and tensile forces at the same time, but at a different instance of time. Just like in our design class, I have given you the example. Maybe in winter, due to the snow load, so any top chord member may be subjected to compressive forces. But in summer, when there is no any snow and there might be some heavy wind load, so due to the lateral wind load, the same top chord member may be subjected to tensile forces. So any member which may be subjected to compressive and tensile force at a different instance of time during its service life, that member is referred as stress reversal. So the point is that actually for which force we need to design that member, either whether we need to design for the magnitude of tensile forces or for magnitude of factor compressive forces. So here we have to evaluate that what was the maximum or what is the maximum expected tensile force that a member may be subjected to during its service life, and what is the maximum expected compressive forces against that structure may be or a member may be subjected to during its service life. So it means that we are having both the tensile forces in that member and compressive forces in that member. But again, I'm clearing it up that at a different instance, not at the same time. So AISC has given some guidelines regarding design of this member. But anyhow, this member will be referred as a stress reversal member. So there are four cases. So case number one is that if tensile forces or the maximum factor tensile forces are less than expected factored compressive forces in case of welded connection, then it means that we need to design this member as a compression member. Compression member, we will study the design of compression member in our next topic. But for the fastener type of the connection, fastener means riveted and bolted. If tensile forces, expected factored tensile forces are less than 75% of factored compressive forces, then this member will be designed as a pure compression member. Pure compression member means that we assume that tensile forces are smaller, and the capacity and the tensile force, if we are designing for the compressive forces, the same member will be sufficient to resist the tensile forces when it will be subjected to that tensile force. So this member will be regarded as a pure compression member. Pure compression member means that we will only apply the guidelines and the instruction for compression member design, and we will ignore that member is even subjected to any tensile forces, because the section which is good for the compressive forces will also be sufficient to resist the factor tensile force if it is subjected to. So if first case is not satisfied, mean that if tensile forces are more than compressive forces, then we have to check the second case. The second case is that if factored compressive forces or factored compressive load is less than 10% of factored tensile load, then it means that the tensile forces are dominant. In that case, we need to design this member as a pure tension member. Pure tension member, and we have to keep the maximum slenderness ratio. We have to use the maximum slenderness ratio criteria as 300, which is for tension member. Pure tension member means that we will design by considering the yielding criteria and rupture criteria. We will determine the area from this equation. So we will discuss in our next topic that actually a member I have already explained. If it is two identical members or one which are having same length and same cross section, so their capacity against compressive force and tensile forces will be different. Why it will be different? Because due to the compressive forces, there is a chance of buckling. That we will discuss inshallah in our next topic. So slenderness ratio will be used as a 300 maximum, and we will use the guideline for tension member. And if the both cases are not satisfied, then it means that the compressive forces are more than 10% of TU, but they are less than, they are also not satisfying the case one. Then we have to check the third criteria. So in third criteria, you can say that we are having PU already, and we can determine a PU equivalent. PU equivalent means that a PU value of the factored compressive force which might be equivalent to the tensile factor load. Or if it is difficult to understand this concept, then you can say that we can compute two parameters, two factors. So this factor is 1 plus 0.015 L square into PU. So this factor is the compressive load factor, and we will compare this parameter with the factored tensile forces. So in this equation, length is in meter. L is the length of the member in meter. If the left side is larger, mean if the factored tensile forces are larger than this right hand side, then this member is referred, will be designed for factored tensile force. This member will be designed as a tension member, but later on we will check the capacity for compression member. Or in other words, if the case one is satisfied, member is pure compression member. If case number one is not satisfied and case number two is satisfied, then member is a pure tension member. If case one and case two both are not satisfied, then we are obviously having case number three. Then this member will be regarded as a stress reversal member. Stress reversal member means that we have to design it either for compression and tension. So if we are designing for tension, then we need to check the capacity for compression. So stress reversal member is mean that it is having both tensile forces and compressive forces significant. So main thing is that whether we will design it for factored tensile forces or factored compressive forces. So I am discussing case 3. So in case 3, if the left hand side is more than right hand side, then we will design this member as a tension member. But later on, we will check the capacity also in compression. And for stress reversal member means that it is subjected to both appreciable or significant compressive forces and tensile forces. So the maximum slenderness ratio should not be more than 200. Okay, in the same equation, case number 4 is the opposite of this case. If right hand side is more than left hand side, it means that factored tensile forces are less than this parameter, then the compressive load parameter is larger. So we will design this member as a compression member. And later on, we will check the capacity also in tension. So again, I'm repeating in case number 3, if TU is larger than this right hand side, then member will be designed as a tension member, but we will check the capacity also in compression. But if TU is lesser than this right hand side or this compressive load factor, then this member will be designed as a compression member, but later on we will check the capacity in tension also. So here we are having the factored force may be replaced with the service force in case of allowable stress design. So if we are having ASD, then we need to compare the service load against service tensile load against service compressive load, not the Okay, now we are having a problem that is related with the stress reversal member. So first of all, we need to understand this statement. Design the member of a roof truss using LRFD procedure carrying a factored compressive force PU of 450. This means that we are given the factored compressive force directly, and also we are provided with factored tensile forces directly, which are 840 kilonewton. The length of the member is 6 meter. So since it is a truss member, so in truss member both ends are pin ended. So this section is built up section, which is consisting of two channels back to back with a total width of 300. You will see in the upcoming slide. So it means that flanges they are turned outside and the total width is equal to 300. So let me show you. So this is, remember, the two channel placed back to back or flanges turned outside. We are provided with the total width. Total width should not be more than 300, but the gap between the web may be different, and that is depending upon our selected section. We will see when we are designing this. So other thing is that check the member under stress reversal. First of all, we need to check under stress reversal whether we need to design for pure compression, pure tension, or as a compression member, or we need to design as a tension member, or later on we will check the capacity in compression. So welded connection are to be used. For the welded connection, B minimum is 50 millimeter. We already know. So B minimum is not 2.5 D plus 16 or 3.25 D plus 18. For the welded connection, B minimum is 50. So problem is very easy. First of all, I'm just letting you know the first case. So first case is mean that TU is not less than PU. So it means that first case is not applicable. Second case, I have already skipped, but 10% of compressive forces, which are 45, these are, uh, sorry, actually what was the actual 10% of tensile forces are greater than PU. They are not this case. So if we are taking the 10% of tensile forces, which are 840, so these are less than compressive force. So case 2 is also not applicable. This means that now this member is the stress reversal member now. In stress reversal member, this parameter is the right hand side of the equation, 1 plus 0.015 into L square. L is 6 meter. So 6 square, which is 36. 36 multiplied by 0.015. And if we are adding up in 1, so we are having the answer 1.54. And if we are computing this parameter, PU is 450. So this load equivalent compressive load is 693. But factor tensile load is 840. It means that this side, right hand side, which is 693, is less than as TU. So it means that TU is larger, so case 3 is satisfied. So we will design this member as a tension member. But later on, we need to check the capacity in compression also. So how we design the compression member? So since we are given as a welded connection, so in welded connection, we skip rupture criteria because rupture criteria will only be used for fastener type of the connection. Fastener where we are punching the hole to accommodate rivet or a bolt. So it means that if we are not punching the hole, we will not have the net area because net area will be equal to gross area. If we are not having the net area, so obviously we shall also not have any effective area. So it means that we will skip rupture criteria for welded connection in most of the cases. So only using yielding criteria, so we may determine area required. TU is 840 multiplied by 1000, which to convert into Newton. Phi t value in yielding is zero point 0.9, and yielding criteria we're supposed to use yield stress 250. So area required is 3733. So since we have to use built-up section, which is comprises of two channels given in this statement, so area of one channel will be half 18 into 67. Okay, now what we will do, before showing the next slide, I would like to maybe open your LRFD manual and the table for channel section. I guess they were starting from page number 69. Yes, page number 69. If you will open, we will move from page number 69 to the backward side. So try to separate out or filter out all sections whose area is just equal to or more than a little bit more than 1867. So page number 69, all sections are quite heavy. So we have to, none of this section is on 68. Then if you will come to the page number 67, on page number 67, fourth group, we are having only a single section. Page number 67, if you are having the LRFD manual with you at the moment, please open. Page number 67, MC 310 into 15.8. It is having area 2000, which is more than 1867. And all the sections which are above are having very large area, so I will not select that. So first trial section may be MC 310 and 15.8. I also need to check on page number 66. On page number 66, in the second group and middle section, C 150 into 15.6. So this section is having area 1990, which is more than 1867. The section above is having large area, which is 24 and 70. I will not filter out. Okay, in first group on page 66, page 66, first group and third section, C 180 into 14.6. Area is 1850. I will not select this because 1850 is less than 1867. This is also not as per our requirement. So page number 65. So my third trial section, page number 65, may be the last one. C 200 into 17.1 and area is 2180. So this would be my third option, but I'm not going to pick it. So, but anyhow, I have written all three available options. So these are my trial section that I have filtered out from LRFD manual. So section properties for channel section, which are provided by AISC. So this will be available option. So among these three options, I need to select. So first of all, I will always select the option which is the lightest one. So the lightest section is 15.6. Okay, here these are the some images of the pages where I have picked this section from. So C 115 to 15.6, area is 1990, which is more than 1867. And our second option is MC miscellaneous C section 310 and 15.8. So third option is this. So first I will try this option. I will apply the capacity check. If the capacity check fails, then second option will be this one. If the capacity checks on this section also fail, then the third option will be this one. So the first option will always be the lightest one. So my first trial section or the first option that I will try for the capacity will be 2Cs 150 into 15.6. Area of one channel is equal to 1990. Okay, here just write down all the properties that we may require. We require area. BF value is 51. The BF value is more than 50. It is okay. Depth is 152. Thickness of land 8.7. Thickness of the web we may require 8. This is the centroidal location in X direction. We require this 12.7. I will explain why. Radius of gyration about x-axis is 56.4. Radius of gyration about y-axis is very less, almost 3 times or 4 times less than Ry. So that's why we are making built-up section so that we are making the Ry same as of Rx. We might need the moment of inertia about y-axis, which is 36 into exponent 4. So here I have written all required properties that I may require, Ix, Iy also. So now I need to check the capacity. So when we will check the capacity, we need to apply the yielding criteria, capacity in yielding. So phi TTN in yielding is 0.9 Fy into area of selected section, 0.9, 250, and we area of two channel will be 2 multiplied by 1990 divided by 1000 just to convert into kilonewton. So the answer is 895.5, which is more than TU. TU value is 840 kilonewton. So this is okay. Anyhow, we did not use the rupture criteria for the calculation of the required area, but we may check the capacity in rupture also. So in rupture, phi T value is 0.75. In rupture criteria, we have to use the ultimate stress and effective area. So effective area is equal to U shear lag factor multiplied by net area. So for the welded connection, we may assume U value equal to 1.75 FU, and net area will be equal to gross area because we haven't punched any hole. So 2 into 1990 divided by 1000, and the capacity in rupture is 1194, which is more than TU. So capacity check is okay. Second check is B minimum. B minimum criteria, minimum width is B 50 millimeter for welded connection. So available BF. BF in case of the flange is this one. So 51 is more than 50, so that is sufficient. Okay, I will explain this later on. But first of all, what I want to explain that I told you that we need to check slenderness ratio. Slenderness ratio for built up section for and stress reversal member should be less than 200. And slenderness ratio we compute length divided by R minimum. R minimum means minimum radius of gyration. R minimum is lesser out of Rx and Ry. But here, this Rx and Ry are for single member. For built up section, we have to compute Rx and Ry ourselves. So I already explained you that Rx of built up section is always equal to Rx of single section. It means that I already know Rx value for the built up section, which is 56.4. But this Ry is for single section, that is not for built up. So Ryb or radius of gyration about y-axis for built up section, I need to determine by parallel axis theorem. So parallel axis theorem means that I need to transfer moment of inertia of single section from its own y-axis to the y-axis of built up section. So here first I need to explain you this diagram. So we have selected this channel. We are provided that a total width of this section should not be more than 300 or should be 300 exactly. 152 is the depth, just like we have seen from here. And what is the BF value? 51. So we know this value is as a 51. So actually, we know the moment of inertia of single channel about its own y-axis, and we need to transfer the moment of inertia from from the y-axis of the single channel to the y-axis of built-up section. So we need to find the distance between y-axis of single channel to the y-axis of built-up section. So you can use many ways. So I may use that distance from centroid centroid of single channel to this web is x. This is the x centroid, and then I need half of spacing. So half of spacing will be equal to, for example, total width is 300. From 300, I need to subtract 51 from here and 51 from here. Then available space will be 300 minus 2 times of 51 will be 198. 198 divided by 2 will be the distance from this centroid to the edge of this channel. And then from channel edge to centroid of this y-axis to the centroidal location is the x bar, or a centroidal location in x direction, which is referred here x. So x value we can pick from this table, which is 12.7. So it means that the distance from here to here will be equal to, this is 99 plus 12.7. So this will be 111.7 from here to here. So here you can see I have already written Rxb is equal to Rx. So moment of inertia about of the built-up section about y-axis is equal to Iy. This is Iy for this single channel. Let's see, Iy for the single channel is 36 into exponent 4. I have picked from here. Iy is 36, sorry, into exponent 4. So multiply by, he has computed in another way, 150. What is this one? 150 is half of 300, because total distance is 300. So half distance from y-axis of built-up section to the edge will be 150. 150 minus 51 plus this x bar. So answer will be remain same, that I have told to you. Answer will be 111.7. So this is area of single channel A distance. This is the distance between y-axis of single channel to the y-axis of built-up section. Parallel axis theorem, which is dx. So this is a parameter that we are using to transfer moment of inertia from y-axis of channel to the y-axis of built-up section, and we need to multiply it by 2, because we are having two channels. One channel is identical, channel is on the other side. So moment of inertia about y-axis for the built-up section is 50,038 into exponent 4. So RYB is equal to the IYB over area of built-up section. So area of built-up section is equal to 2 times the area of single channel. So RYB is 112.5. So we are having RXB, RYB. So R minimum is lesser value out of these two. So lesser value is 56.4. So we will compute this readiness ratio L over R minimum. Then this answer is 6 multiplied by 1000 to convert to millimeter divided by R minimum. Answer is 106.4, which is less than 200. So it is okay. Okay, in examination, or maybe if you are having very less time, so instead of computing actual RYB, you can use some empirical relationship which are given over here. So if you are opening the page number 102, on your LRFD manual, page number 102. So I will urge you to open page number 102 so that you can see the relationship, but I will also show you here. So this is page number 102. If you are opening the LRFD, so I just want to see this case. So this is the case, our case. So in this case, we are given some empirical relationship to compute the Rx and Ry value for the built-up section. So we are having this case. So in this, we are having two channel placed back to back. So in this formula, B is the clear distance between the web and H is the height. So in this empirical relationship, Rx is equal to 36% of H value. 36% means 0.36 of H and Ry is 0.6 of B value. This is just approximate, not accurate value. So we are using this. So H value is 152. So Rx approximate is 55 and Ry approximate value is 0.6 into B. B is the clear distance, which is 300 minus 2 times into 51. So this value is coming out to be 118.8. Okay, here, this is very important hint that I'm going to give you. If Rx approximate value, because by approximate, I'm saying because I have computed by using approximate formula, which is given on page number 102. If Rx approximate is less than Ry approximate, it means that Rx actual will also be less than Ry actual. So you don't need to determine Ry actual because Rx approximate is less. It is better to use Rx value directly for single section. So Rx actual value is equal to, for the built-up section is equal to Rx of single channel. Exact value is 56.4 and approximate value is 55. So then directly use 56.4. Okay, if Ry approximate value is lesser than Rx approximate, in that case, if you want to have the exact solution, you need to determine the Ry actual by this formula. Okay, just see what is Ry actual? 112.5 and approximate is on the higher side, which is 118.8. So in the examination, if you are having less time, you may use this approximate formula. But if you are having plenty of time or it is mentioned in the question, use the exact Ry or Rxb, then you have to compute by this way. So the capacity check in tension is against tension are satisfied. We need to check the capacity in compression. So this thing, we haven't learned the compression member design, but later on when we study the compression member design, we can check the capacity in compression. For built-up section, we need to design the lacing. We need to check the capacity for compression. And we are assuming that loading cycles are less than 20,000 and we need to design the connection also later on. So final selection will be 2 C's into 150 into 15.6. So here, this is end of our tension member. So I will send you some assignment problem in PDF form from the chapter tension member design. So I will also assign you the R value. So I will give you the clear instruction. The total problem maybe in tension member chapter might be 10. So each student will solve the 5 problems and the instruction will be provided in a PDF form. So at the moment, if someone is having the question from tension member design, so I would like to answer. So anyone is having the question? Okay, let me. Anis Malik, are you there? Please respond me. Anis Malik. Anis Malik, are you there? Okay, CR, please note down the student's name and later on send me the WhatsApp text. Note down this student Anis Malik and just text me
Okay,
because
sir.
he's not there. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Sida Bhatt, are you there? Sida Bhatt.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me know what is the stress reversal member. Sida Bhatt, let me know what is the stress reversal member.
Sir, my net got disconnected. That's why I cannot take
Okay,
the
okay, I
lecture.
understand, I
Sir,
understand. No problem.
sir, recorded lecture
Okay,
सुनूंगा बाद
okay,
में.
mute it. Okay, mute your mic. Hamza Niaz. Hamza Niaz, are you there? What is built up section? What is built up section? Or any other option? This is the one criteria moment to increase moment of inertia. Any other reason? Hey, that is used for the moment of inertia. Okay, good, very good. Okay, mute your mic. Okay, uh, HB 405304. I don't know who is. Okay, gentlemen, please change your IDs with proper name or roll number. You can modify your ID. So who is HB 405304? CR ये भी नोट करो, बाद में इसको ट्रेस करता हूँ मैं. HB
Okay, sir.
405304 ये भी मौजूद नहीं है. ठीक है.
Okay, sir.
Who is Hubab? Hubab, are you there? Hubab? Hubab?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the second reason to use the built-up section?
नहीं पता.
जो built-up section होता है क्या, ये सुना है अभी? What is built-up section? ये बता दो. हाँ ना, मैं बता दूं, कोई इशू नहीं यार, कोई मार्क्स नहीं कट रहे.
नहीं पता.
नहीं पता यानी इसका मतलब आप लेक्चर अटेंड ही नहीं कर रहे. आप ऑनलाइन हो यार, फिर आपके यार नंबर कम आ जाते हैं, फिर आप टीचर को ब्लेम कर रहे होते हो. तो दिस इज योर सीरियसनेस लेवल. Mia Hassan Ali, are you there? Mia, yes.
Yes, sir.
Do we need to use the rupture criteria for welded connection?
Yes, sir. We can use.
We need to use structure criteria for welded connection. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. कर सकते हैं यूज.
ठीक, कर सकते हैं. तो अभी हमने प्रॉब्लम की उसमें यूज किया हमने.
सर प्रॉब्लम में.
Okay, no problem. Mute your mic. Mute your. Okay, Mohsin Rana. Mohsin Rana, are you there?
Yes, sir.
What is the B minimum value for the welded connection?
Sir, 50 mm.
Okay, good. Okay, good, good. Okay, Kamal Habib, are you there? Kamal Habib.
Yes, sir.
How to connect the built-up section? Built-up section को आपस में कैसे connect करते हैं? How do we connect?
सर उसके लिए ब्रेसिंग यूज करते हैं, वो डॉटेड लाइन से जो हम शो करते हैं.
ठीक ठीक सही है. ओके ओके गुड. तो नेक्स्ट टॉपिक स्टार्ट करते हैं. अभी ब्रेक देंगे आपको 10 मिनट के बाद, ठीक है? Or you want to have the break at a moment so that after the break I will start the next topic. चले मेरे ख्याल में क्योंकि नेक्स्ट टॉपिक है उसकी रिकॉर्डिंग फिर उसी वक्त स्टार्ट करूँगा नहीं. तो आई वुड लाइक टू हैव अ 10-minute break. 10:47 हुए मेरे पास. So inshallah I will be back at 11. So in the meantime, if you are having any question, please note it down and you can ask me after the lecture. ठीक हो गया? Okay, inshallah see you after the break of 10 minutes. Are you there, CR?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you see the slides as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Candles कम हो गई है, तो आ जाएंगे कोई नहीं. Okay, let me start the recording. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So dear students, now we will start a new topic, design of compression member. So first of all, we need to study that what is the compression member. So compression member is also a line element which is subjected to axial forces. So axial forces which are acting towards the body, or these are the forces which are actually shortening the body or tend to shorten the member. So the tension member is also the axial member which is subjected to the axial longitudinal forces which are acting away from the body. But in compression member, the forces are passing or acting parallel to the longitudinal axis and it tend to shorten the body. Then we have to study that how a member behaves differently when it is subjected to tensile forces and compressive forces. So we have already discussed that if we are having a tension member, if it is initially crooked means that it is not perfectly straight, and even though the load is not is concentric means that it is acting at the center point. You will see in the upcoming slide. So even though we are applying the tensile force, so there will be no effects on its tensile capacity, because when we are applying tensile forces, so if the member is initially bent, it will be straightened up and then it will start taking the load. And it will only fail when the applied stresses will be more than yielding stress at gross area or rupture stresses at net area. So failure might be rupture failure or yield failure. But on the other hand, if the same member, you might think that the same member when it was subjected to tensile forces, it failed at a load of maybe 100 kilonewton. But the same member, if it is subjected to compressive force, then the same member which is having identical length and cross section and material, it may fail at a load value maybe less than 50% of the load with that it is taking in tension. Maybe it failed at a load of 40 kilonewton. This means that any axial member, any member, it is behave differently when it is subjected to compressive force and tensile forces. So we need to evaluate that on what parameter the compressive capacity is depending upon and what type of the failure may occur when any member is subjected to compressive force. So what will be our main target? We need to avoid that particular type of failure. So examples are short compression member without any chances of buckling. So buckling we will discuss in detail, inshallah. So eccentrically loaded column, top part of trusses. So normally the top part of trusses, they are subjected to compressive force due to gravity load, or maybe any truss member which is having the compressive forces. So you already know that from your knowledge of elementary structural analysis, when you are analyzing the truss, so a truss member might be subjected to either compression or tension. So compression flanges of beam and member that are subjected to simultaneous bending and compression forces. Okay, compression flanges, how I will explain. In beam, what is a beam? If a line element is subjected to transversal load, if the same line element if it is subjected to transversal load, load is perpendicular to the length, then that is a beam. So there are two type of the internal force in the beam, shear force and bending moment. And due to the bending moment, there are bending stresses. The bending stresses mean that half of below the neutral axis or half of the section is subjected to compression and half of the section is subjected to compression due to bending stresses. So if we are having, just assume I section might be W section. If it is subjected to bending, then the flanges which are below the neutral axis, they are subjected to tensile stresses, and the flanges and the web which is above the neutral axis will be subjected to compression. This means that the flanges which are under compression may be subjected to buckling. So what is the buckling? We will discuss. So there are two significant difference between behavior of tension and compression member. Some of them I have already discussed, but I will read it out again for you. The tensile load tend to hold member straight even if the member is not initially in one line and is subjected to simultaneous bending. So in contrast, if the compressive loads tend to bend the member out of plane of load due to imperfections. So imperfection means that if the load is not exactly passing through the center line, it is having certain eccentricity, or if it is initially bent, or it is having some camber inside within the member. So if and also if it is also subjected to bending moment or lateral force along with compressive force, then all these parameters they reduce the compressive load carrying capacity substantially that we need to evaluate properly. So now here at the moment I would like to explain what is the bending and what is the buckling. So in this diagram, for example, you can see that bending is that if a lateral force is acting, lateral force means in transversal direction. So this line element will behave as a beam. In case of beam, what we will do, if we are keep on increasing the load, deflection in this member will keep on increasing. So deflection in this member is keep on increasing. So even though the load is very less, so will have less deflection. So if we are keep on increasing the load, deflection or bending is keep on increasing until the member fails. But unlike beam or in compression member, we are having, for example, a reasonably long member. So it is subjected to compressive force. This compressive force may be 0, we are increasing 10, 20, 30, 40. So we are increasing the load. So due to the applied load, member will be remain straight. It will not bend in lateral direction. So until we are keep on increasing the load until I am approaching a particular load value. That value may be 60. you can say. So at that point, a member will be bent, slightly bent in the lateral direction due to compressive forces. So it will be slightly bent in lateral direction. So at that point, if this is called our equilibrium state, if I will apply any small force, large fraction force more than that value, maybe 60.001, then what will happen? This member will suddenly undergo very large deformation and fail, or it will suddenly bend in the lateral direction and it will fail, or the initial position of the member or the compression member cannot be restored. So actually this out of plane bending occurs suddenly at one particular load value. So this sudden out of plane bending due to the axial compressive force is referred as buckling. So buckling is different from bending. Bending is due to the lateral or transversal loading. So the bending is keep on increasing if we are keep on increasing the load. But buckling is sudden out of plane bending due to axial compressive forces. Sudden means if our load is less than any particular value, column will be remain perfectly straight. So this sudden bending will occur when load is more than any particular value, which is called P critical or critical buckling load. And what I believe that you have already studied this in mechanics of material, but you will also study further in detail in your structural mechanics. And we have also devised one experiment to study the critical load of column with various end conditions. So tests on majority of practical columns show that they will fail at axial stress well below elastic limit of column material because of their tendency to buckle, which is sudden lateral bending due to the critical compressive force. And this buckling is also sometimes referred as elastic buckling. I would like to give you the again explain. So again, same number I will explain. You assume that cross-section area of this column is equal to 1 millimeter square. Okay. If I will apply the tensile force in above direction, then this member will fail when the load is equal to 250 kilonewton. 250 kilonewton mean that 250 newton. 250 divided by 1, the stress will be equal to 250 megapascal, which is equal to yield stress. So member will fail when the stress in column or material will be more than yielding stress. But same member, if it is subjected to compressive force, it will fail in buckling. So I kept on increasing the load. So it buckle in or suddenly bent in out of plane direction when the load was equal to 100 Newton, which is less than 250 Newton. So at failure point, load is 100 Newton, 100 Newton divided by 1. It means that it failed at a stress value equal to 100 megapascal. 100 megapascal is less than 250 megapascal. This means that the member failed due to out of plane bending within elastic range, and we still had 150 megapascal reserve capacity because the material is supposed to fail when applied stresses is supposed to be equal to 250, but it failed at applied stress 100 within the elastic range. So normally we regarded that the compression member failed within the elastic range at a stress value considerably less than yield stress. We will study in detail also. For this reason, the strength of compression member is reduced in relation to danger of buckling, depending upon the length of column, end condition, and cross-section dimension. So what I must say that here we have concluded that the strength of compression member is not depending upon area. Just like in tension member, how to design, we determine area required, minimum area required to satisfy or to avoid the yielding failure or rupture failure. But here, in case of compression member, it is not the function of area, but rather a one parameter which is referred as slenderness ratio. So in slenderness ratio, we are having a slenderness ratio is effective length over original length. We will see in the upcoming slide. So it is the function of length, end condition, and cross-section dimension. Cross-section means radius of gyration is also depending upon cross-section. So here I would like to give another example. For example, we are having two columns. Both are having same area or same cross-section. One member is 1 meter long and other member is 2 meter long. If both are subjected to compressive force, the member which is longer, it will fail at a lesser load value as compared to the column which is having shorter length. Why? Why the reason? Because the longer column will have more slenderness ratio as compared to the shorter column. So we will discuss in detail. The longer column become for the same cross section is having the greater tendency to buckle as compared to the shorter column. So here we are having some metaphorical example just to explain the equilibrium condition. So I told you that in axially loaded member, if we are applying the load and if I'm keep on increasing the load, member remains straight until I approach to a particular load value. At that particular load value, which is referred as P critical, at that stage, a column is slightly deflected in lateral position. And this stage will be referred as a neutral equilibrium. So if my load is less than P critical, if I will remove the load, column will come back to original position and all the stresses within the member become zero. So example is that if in this case, if I'm moving this ball to the either side and leave it and release it, so ball will attain its original position. When the load is exactly equal to P critical, so that is neutral. It means that if I am dragging the ball to either side, it maintains the new position. But on this case, if I move the ball right and left, it will never come back to the new position. So this is referred as unstable equilibrium. So in the same way, if I apply the load on a column more than P critical, column will suddenly buckle and fail, and we cannot restore its original position. So you can read out these slides or from your books also. Everything is mentioned in your textbook. So the forces associated with the condition in the critical or buckle load. Okay, second is the presence of rivet or bolt holes in tension member reduce the area available for the resisting of load. Okay, we have seen in our tension member that if we are punching the hole for fastener connection, fastener means rivet or and bolt, then it affects the tensile load carrying capacity because punching hole may trigger rupture failure, but the punching of hole in compression member will not affect compressive load carrying capacity. And why? Because if we are applying the compressive force, then the area of the bolt or the fastener within the hole, it will fill up the area. Or even though the hole is not present, the bolt is not present, if we are applying the compressive force, hole will be closed and then it will start taking the load. So punching of holes for rivet and bolted for the bolt connection will not affect the compression capacity or the compressive load carrying capacity. So that's why we always say that block shear failure is only used in tension member. It is not critical in compression. So if our column is having some imperfection, a compressive or axially loaded compressive member, if it is having some imperfection, then these imperfections may reduce the capacity also. So these imperfection may be of two types. Maybe it is maybe due to the initial deflection and due to the eccentricity of load. So ideal type of load on column is concentric. Concentric means that load is exactly passing through the centroidal or theoretical center of column. But the load is distributed uniformly over the entire cross section of the center of gravity. But in many cases, the load might not be exactly, center line of the load might not be coinciding with the theoretical center line of column. For example, the edge column or the corner column in the building, it is having the load only from one side. So it means that the centroid of the load will be different from the centroid of the column. So it means that the column is subjected to eccentric load. Due to eccentricity, there will be some extra movement, so which will cause some extra bending stress along with compressive stress, and that may lead to reduction in capacity. So here you can read out this slide, but I will explain from here. So we might have extra bending moment or eccentricity in column due to three reasons. Number one reason is that member is initially bent in the lateral direction or initially crooked. So this is actual center line. So this is theoretical center line, and this is supposed to be actual center line. So if I am cutting this section over here, so this is the actual center line, this is theoretical center line. So at this point, we are having this eccentricity. So it means that this mid portion is subjected to bending moment also along with the actual force. And that bending moment will be equal to P multiplied by perpendicular distance. Similarly, if we are having perfectly straight column, this is theoretical center line, and loading line of action of the load is parallel to theoretical center line, or load is actually not passing through the theoretical center line. So load is eccentric. So eccentricity is P. So it means that this column is subjected to movement. So if I multiply P into E, so it is producing clockwise movement. So this column is subjected to axial force P along with bending moment, which is equal to P into E. So it will have two type of the stresses, bending stresses and axial stresses. So it mean that due to eccentricity, so for the same load, the applied stresses will be more, or it will fail at a lesser load value. So a lesser load value is escalating the stress due to the eccentricity. Another source of bending moment will be that if a lateral forces are acting along with the compressive force, due to this lateral force, there will be also some bending moment. So this is a simultaneous acting of the transversal force along with axial. And then we are having some other type of the type of imperfection other than loading. So these are referred as actually initial imperfection. When I talk about initial imperfection, initial means that before the load is applied, the member was already imperfect. Imperfect in terms of geometry and imperfect in terms of loading. So initial imperfections are of two types. Number one, geometric imperfection, and number two, we will see in the next slide, structural imperfection. Geometric imperfection may be of many types depending upon the type of the member. So we may have the A, which is the out of flatness, B, which is the out of straightness, which is not straight, and we in C we may have negative or positive cam. So all type of thin walled member, thin walled means steel section. So they are not perfectly straight during manufacturing process. So due to uneven heating and cooling, so they are always subjected to certain imperfections. So these imperfections can reduce the capacity. So we need to mean that only in compression. So it means that when we are estimating the compressive load carrying capacity, we need to consider these type of imperfections. So we will see that how AISC incorporating that type of imperfections. So AISC say that the maximum imperfection in structure should not be more than 0.002 or length of the member divided by 500. So what I must say that this negative camber, so distance between this theoretical center line and actual center line at the maximum point or at the midpoint should not be more than length of the member divided by 500 or should not be more than 0.002 of the length. If they are less than this limit, then we ignore these imperfections. But if they are more, then we need to assess the capacity or we need to consider the reduction in the capacity due to the imperfection. So the second type of imperfections are residual stresses. Residual stresses are stresses that are already present within the member, which are built in. So these stresses actually they are produced due to uneven heating and cooling. If member is subjected to stress value more than yield stress, if the applied stresses are more than yield, so strain is more than elastic strain, so there will be permanent deformation. So they may be due to the welding process, or if we are working with this steel, if we are punching, if I am punching this steel, it means how I am punching, because at the punching point, I have applied the stresses more than ultimate. Because if applied stress will be more than ultimate, then I can cut the material. It means that the material which is on the surrounding of the hole that I have punched, that has undergone the stress more than yield stress. If the stress is applied more than yield, so I cannot recover all the elastic deformation. Their stresses are permanently stored. So how I can give you the example? For example, if we are having a glass which is having capacity to 50 ml, if it is already filled by 50 ml, so how much more water I can pour? Just 200 more. It means that if the stresses are already present, some stresses, so they are also reducing the capacity. If a glass is already filled by 1/4 of the capacity, then the total capacity will be third fourth. So here I will explain that how these stresses are produced. This first case will be due to uneven heating and cooling. So you already know that if we are having hot rolled section, how they are made? We are having molten steel. We pour into the steel mold, and then we, after removing it from mold, we leave it for cooling. So you will know that the tips, flange tips, and the center area of the bell, it will cool first because they have more exposure surface. They have more surface which is exposed to the environment. And this junction, they will cool at later stages or maybe slowly. Why? Because here the material is surrounded by maybe web plate and flange plate. It means that this flange tips, it will cool first. So when they will cool down, you know that all type of the metal, when they cool, they shrink. So it means that if this flange, this portion only flange portion, when it shrinks, so this tip, it can shrink freely. But when this other part of the flange, when it tend to shrink in this side, so during shrinkage process, it tend to move here. So this shrinkage outward, it tend to apply the tensile stresses on this junction. So shrinkage of flanges producing the tensile forces, tensile strain on junction. And when this material is shrinkage means that there is a negative strain produced. The tip length is shortening. So elastic strain is produced or compressive strain. So strain multiplied by modulus of elasticity is mean that due to shrinkage, the flanges they are subjected to compressive stress, and junction, because it will cool down slowly or gradually, it is subjected to tensile stresses due to the shrinkage of this flange. So experimental studies has suggested that these compressive stresses which are produced due to uneven heating and cooling are approximately equal to 30% of Fy, maybe 80 to 90%, 80 to 95 of megapascal. If we are having a steel whose yield stress is 250 megapascal. And just to balance the compressive stresses at the tips, the junction is subjected to tensile stresses. And these tensile stresses are approximately, maybe sometimes even equal to yield stress. And similarly, the web, interior web portion will cool first, and cooling of this portion, web try to shrink, and the shrinkage of this web is pulling this edge junction to the inward side. So the web interior is subjected to compressive stresses, and ends they are subjected to tensile. So tensile stresses are not affecting the compressive load carrying capacity. It means that some portion of the flange and some portion of the webs they are already subjected to compressive stresses, which are 30% of yield stress. So it means that if they are already subjected to 30% yield stress, so they are only having 70% reserve capacity. So residual stresses are affecting only the capacity in compression. Similarly, welding process can also cause. When we are welding, for example, if we want to make this I section, we have to use 3 plates, 2 as a flange and 1 as a web. So when we are welding, so due to welding, only this portion is subjected to heating, and this portion is only maybe at normal temperature. So this junction, actually this is subjected to heating process. When this junction tend to cool down, and when it will cool down, the junction is shrinkage. Shrinkage will only occur at the junction. So when the shrinkage will occur at this junction, so this portion of the flange or the injunction and a portion of the web injunction, it is subjected to compressive stresses. And when this junction, because it tend to shrink, the shrinkage of this material in the junction in the flange will produce the tensile stresses at end. And similarly, shrinkage of the web material after welding at the junction will produce the tensile stresses in the interior portion of web, which is opposite to the cooling of hot rod section. So these are the reasons why the residual stresses are produced. Uneven cooling which occur after hot rolling of structure shapes, which produce the thermal stresses, which are permanently stored. So I have already explained thicker part cool at the end and try to shorten in length. While doing so, they produce compressive stresses in the other part of section and tension in them. Overall magnitude of this tension and compression remain equal to the equilibrium. It means that if the compressive forces develop in the member due to the compressive stresses, and tensile forces develop in the section due to tensile stresses, they will be in equilibrium. So net stresses are equal to 0 along the cross section. But some portion will be in compression and some portion will be tension. So in case of I-shaped section, after hot rolling, the thicker junction of flange to the web cool more slowly than the web and flange tip. So I have already explained this. So consequently, compressive residual stresses exist at flanges tips, flange tips, and mid depth of the web, the region that cool fastest, while tensile residual stresses exist in flange and web at junction. So cold bending of member beyond their elastic limit produce residual stresses, and the strain within the member will be stored. In cold work section, we have already discussed cold work section that we are made at room temperature, which are made of steel sheets. these are also referred thin walled members. So if we are having steel sheets, when we are bending, so we make them new shape. So how we are bending? We can only bend because we are applying this strain or the stress beyond elastic limit. So when we apply strain beyond elastic limit, so there is a plastic strain which cannot be recovered. It means that the material is subjected to strain value more than elastic limit. That strain value which is not recovered multiplied by modulus of the elasticity is the magnitude of the stress which is stored at bent location. Similarly, when we are punching the hole or cutting, so during cutting, how we cut or punch the hole because we are applying the stress more than ultimate. So edges of holes or the cutting surface are subjected to stress value more than ultimate. Welding process also, I have already explained, welding also produces stresses due to uneven heating and uneven cooling for welding. Welded part will cool at the end and inviting the other part to contract or shrink. So I have already explained. So now we will discuss different type of dissection that can be used for the compression member. So normally we use built-up section for the compression member. We can also use single section. But normally the built-up sections prove to be more economical. Why they prove to be more economical? Because in compression member, I told you that strength is the function of slenderness ratio. So we need more movement of inertia about either of the axis, or we need more radius of gyration. So how can increase the moment of inertia or radius of gyration? By placing the different single section at a larger distance and connecting it with some lacing and anti plate. So this is the 4-angle box section. We may use a double angle built-up section where the flanges are inverted inside, flanges are inverted outside. We are connecting the ends with anti plates and lacing. We can use 4-angle and 2 single plates to make this section. We can use extra cover plate on W section. We can use 3 plates and weld them, or maybe connect with the help of fasteners by using angle section. We may have 4 plate to make the box section. So they are different type of arrangement that you can see in your text. So built-up section are better for column because slenderness ratio in various directions may be controlled. Controlled means may be increased to get nearly equal value in all directions. Actually, what is the ideal section? An ideal section is the one which is having same slenderness ratio about both axes, about x-axis and y-axis. This means that column is having same buckling strength about both axes. If moment of inertia or slenderness ratio is larger about one axis, then it will buckle about that axis. And we may have reserve capacity about other axis. And this is used to make this, and how we can do. And due to this reason, we go for the built-up section. So there are 2 reasons for the built-up section. Again, I will repeat. One reason is that if a lighter section is, a heavy section is not available in the market, then we join 2 lighter sections to make the area equivalent to the heavy section. And number 2, to increase the moment of inertia or radius of gyration about the weak axis. Just like in channel section, moment of inertia about x-axis is more than moment of inertia about y-axis. Or radius of gyration about x-axis is more as compared to the radius of gyration about y-axis. So we have joined 2 channel sections, and we are, by making built-up section, what we have achieved, you have seen in the previous example, we have increased or enhanced the radius of gyration also about the y-axis. So what advantage we are getting? the total cost of this section may become lesser for larger length. The joining of various elements of built-up section usually performed by using lacing. Okay, next is stability issue. So we need to satisfy three things. Number one, we need to satisfy the strength criteria. Strength criteria in tension member was the yielding criteria and rupture criteria. But in case of the compression member will be buckling criteria. We will check it out. And stability criteria in compression member was only slenderness ratio, which is controlled by keeping the slenderness ratio less than equal to 300. Unlike tension member, compression member is having two types of instability issues. One is called overall and one is called local. Overall stability referred as buckling. Overall means the whole length of the member may buckle or bend in later time. And how we can control this? By limiting the slenderness ratio about either axis less than equal to 200. And this criteria is 300 for tension member, but for compression member and stress reversal member, this value is 200. So along with overall stability, compression member also have some local instability. What are the local instability? Local instability means that maybe some portion of web or flange may buckle before overall buckling occurs. Maybe it means some portion, maybe a local portion or very small portion within the web or flange, it buckle or bend due to applied forces before the member bend as a whole, which is referred as local instability. Before explaining the local instability, let me explain the type of the element in any section. So you can see that here we are having this W section. This W section is having two types of elements, flanges, flange and web. So the web, you can see that it is connected from the both sides, but the flange, half flange, it is only connected from the one side and one side is free. So it means that when the buckling will occur, half flange may buckle or web may buckle. Why half flange? Because one side, half flange from the one side is, this is the projected length. This is the cantilever portion you can say for this W section. One edge is free and other portion is fixed. So we can say that all type of this section, they are having two type of the element. One element is referred as stiffened. Stiffened element which is connected from the both sides. Web is a stiffened element. Why? Because it is connected from the both sides. And unstiffened element will be the portion from A to B, which is flange. So this is unstiffened because only one end is free and it is connected only from the other side. So local buckling may be in this stiffened element and in unstiffened element. So actually we are regarding unstiffened element in case of channel, and in case of W section will be this flange. And the stiffened element in case of channel and I section is web. So web is the stiffened element. We can also call stiffened element buckling or web buckling, and we can call the unstiffened element buckling in channel and W section as a flange local buckling. If we are having angle section, both legs are unstiffened because both legs are only connected from the one side. So we are having both leg as a unstiffened element. So how to control the buckling? So this buckling can be controlled. So AISC say that if there is a chance of buckling, so B is the width over thickness ratio. Width of AC is equal to height of web, and width of this unstiffened element in case of I section is from A to B, which is half length. So width divided by thickness of the element, which is lambda value, we will regard as a lambda, or we can regard as a slenderness ratio of stiffened element and slenderness ratio of unstiffened element, which is denoted by lambda value. Lambda value is B over thickness ratio of either stiffened element and unstiffened element should be less than equal to a particular governing value that is specified by AISC. We will see in forthcoming slide in a table which is given by AISC. Just like we are having the 200 limit given by AISC for overall buckling, we are having limiting lambda value for stiffened element and unstiffened element. What is the lambda value? B over T. Width over thickness ratio of each part gives the local slenderness ratio or slenderness ratio lambda B over T, which controls local buckling. Local buckling should never be allowed to occur before overall buckling of member, except in few cases like web or plate girder we will see in plate girder design. So AISC says that specification says there must not be any local buckling before overall buckling. So local buckling in stiffened element and unstiffened element should be avoided. How we can avoid? By controlling B over T ratio. So B over T ratio should be lesser. So either we have to select section with lesser B or larger thickness. So an unstiffened element is projecting piece with one free edge parallel to direction of compressive. So unstiffened element, I have already explained, this is a projected portion which is perpendicular to the axial force and which is only fixed on the one side. So unstiffened element in case of W section will be flange, half flange, and in case of channel it will be full flange. So stiffened element is supported along two edges, supported or connected from the both sides, just like web of channel and I section. So for unstiffened flange, as in the figure, B is equal to half of flange width, df by 2, and T is equal to Tf. So hence B over T ratio of unstiffened element will be equal to Bf over 2Tfl. So B over T ratio for the flange is equal to Bf over 2Tf for I section. I will explain it again. In case of the I section, Bf is the total width of the flange. So what is the length between A and B or B value from A to B? Bf by 2. So B value is equal to Bf by 2 and B over T is equal to Tf, thickness of length. So B over T ratio or lambda value of unstiffened element or lambda F value for the case of W section is equal to Bf over 2Tf value. And for stiffened web, it should be equal to the B value of the web, means height of the web divided by thickness of the web. Okay, what is the height of the web? Height of the web is between A and C. Total depth is equal to the distance from the outer face of top plane to the outer face of bottom plane. So height of the web is equal to D minus 2 times thickness of plane. So we need to subtract thickness of the flange from the one side and thickness of the flange from the other side. So height of the web is the distance from the inner face of top line to the inner face of bottom line. So overall stability is this overall slenderness ratio. So overall slenderness ratio will compute length of column divided by R minimum. So in case of W section and channel section, R minimum is always Ry. But for single angle, we are having three R values, Rx, Ry, and Rz. And experiment suggests that a single angle neither buckle about x or y, but it buckle about and a third axis which is called z-axis, which is the function of uh, leg dimension. So our z value which is given in section properties table provided by AISC. So in case of single angle, overall slenderness ratio may be computed by effective length divided by RZ, because RZ is the R minimum for the case of single angle. Okay, here I will show you some picture where you can see some local buckling. In this figure, you can see only some portion of the flange is buckled, and most of the flange along the length remain straight or it intact, and also there is no overall buckling. So this is referred as local buckling because the flange bent only at small portion. Why it bent? Because its B might be B over T ratio of this flange, or BF over 2TF value of this flange might be larger. If we want to avoid this, we need to reduce B over T ratio, either using the thicker flange or reducing the flange width. Another example of flange buckling. So overall length, this beam did not bend. So overall stability is there, but the flange buckle at some portion. Why? Because its B over T ratio is very larger, or BF over 2TF value is larger. Okay, here you will see the web buckling along with flange buckling. Okay, web buckling is always diagonal. So web buckling, why this web buckle in diagonal pattern? Because B over T ratio of this web, which is height of web over thickness of the web, is larger. So we need to avoid, so this value should be less. So either because we cannot, if we cannot reduce the depth, so we're supposed to use a thicker web, so that height of the web over thickness of the web ratio should be lesser. So what are these governing values, these limiting values? They are provided by AISC, so we may discuss in our next lecture. So here in this diagram, this is the column. This is perfectly straight. It means it is stable against overall buckling. Why stable against overall buckling? Because it didn't bend in the left direction. But local flange buckling is. Local means flange buckle only at a small portion. Again, what is the reason? Because BF over 2TF value or B over T ratio of this projected leg of flange is larger. And in this game, maybe example, overall buckling in the column occur and the failure occur due to overall buckling. So I would like to stop here because this topic I will start in the next time. So in the meantime, if you are having some questions, so you can ask me. So anybody is having the question? You can use the raise hand option. 2018-92. Are you there? 92.
Yes, sir.
What is local buckling? Yes, I'm listening. What is the local buckling? तुम्हारा माइक ही नहीं सही होगा. Mirza Muhammad Sarfraz, are you there? Mirza Muhammad Sarfraz, are you there? CR इसका भी रोल नंबर नोट करो.
Okay, sir.
बस ठीक है, ये भी नहीं. Naveed Abbas, are you there? Naveed
Sir.
Abbas. What
Yes,
is
sir.
what is unstiffened element?
Sir. No idea, sir.
No idea, no problem. Okay, I will conclude the lecture. So if you have some question, you can send me later. Okay, Allah.